Hi, everyone. What I'm going to do right now is going to do a little bit of a warm-up practice for my sketchbook. You'll see that I've got a rectangle set up, all drawn out on here. What I'm going to do is starting from the top to bottom, I'm going to start out by making a squiggle line that's going to be really tight at the top, and then I'm going to get looser and looser and more gestural as I work my way down. I'm going to do this first in pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing back in and doing these sort of darker but tight little backwards squiggles. I'm trying not to create anything that is too pattern-like. And I'm going back over this again, and I'm kind of moving up and down, but try to keep most of my marks rather horizontal in nature, right? And I can go back in and I can overlap a little bit if I want to, as I work my way through back and forth on this. And slowly, as I work my way down the page, I'm going to have a mark that is a little bit more open, that shows a little bit more of the white space coming through. If I want to come back in and do, notice I'm these little looping lines, some of them go back and forth, others are pretty tight on top of each other. And as I work my way across here, slowly going down, and what I'll also be doing as I do this is I'll slowly be actually making the marks a little bit larger, a little bit fuller, and eventually they will not overlap anymore either. That's something that I want to try to avoid also. I want to try to keep that so they don't overlap. When you don't overlap them, that's really going to be at a point where they're really going to open up for you quite a bit. So you'll notice here now I'm slowly going back in. Once in a while I overlap a little bit here. I'm going back and forth and just trying to do those lines here. So if I overlap on myself, perfectly fine. That's okay. Go ahead and let those touch a little bit around, kind of come down here. And as I go down a little bit further here now, my marks, as I said before, are going to start to get a little bit bigger. And I really just come very barely close to just sort of touching the other line now. It's getting larger. And as I'm working my way with my little wiggle around here, it's getting larger and larger. And I'm just kind of working my way down. I'm almost to the bottom there. And there we are. Look at that. So I went from this dark, heavy kind of squiggle where it's really, really tight here at the top. And I work my way down, 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 working right through there, all the way down through this. So, which is pretty nice. So if I wanted to go back and maybe add a little line here, right, just sort of vary that up, I can do that. Maybe one here. But the idea is just keep it kind of loose. Don't have to really do too much of it. I wanted to go back and play a little bit just to have some fun little squiggles in there. I can do a few of those here and there. Some a little larger, a little smaller, just kind of aiming for those areas in between spots, right? Okay. So I've got this nice sort of a casual kind of transition from a darker, heavier area to a lighter, more open space as we're going down. Now, go ahead and give that a shot yourself. All right, now we're going to go back in and we're going to go back and revisit this page that has all this nice tight line work on it. You see basically that's just kind of a nice squiggly line, and I'm really, really tight up here at the top, and it gets looser and more open and more white space is showing as I go my way down. Well, I did this first certainly in pencil, but now I'm going to come back over it with my ink, and I'm doing this again just purely as an exercise, just to sort of loosen myself up for the day and open up here a little bit. So I'm going to do a little test here with my pen, see if I got a pen that I like. That one's getting a little bit dry. I'm going to go ahead and swap on over to another pen, and that's perfectly fine to do. You certainly want to be able to sort of have something you feel like. Oh, look at that mark that makes, a much darker mark. All right, we're going to go with this one right here. This is a Faber-Castell 1.5. Nice looking pen here. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to start up at the top here. And again, really kind of a tight line. I'm not going to trace the line. I'm just going to loosely mimic the same kind of patterning that I made before. So I'm going to start off with this line that's really, really tight up here. And I'm just kind of working this back and forth, nice and tight there. Going over that. Now I work my way back across here. And now you'll see that I'm kind of opening it up a little bit more. I'm still pretty much opening up, but I'm really overlapping. But my marks are getting a little bit bigger as I go along. And I try to keep this just one line if I can help it. Again, I try to stick to my borders there, come as close as I can to those borders, but it's a good way sort of kind of play with that eye-hand concentration. Again, trying to stay away from creating an actual pattern. Now I'm sort of halfway down here. You can see I'm just barely sort of touching those other shapes or forms. And that last part just ends. Look at that. You put a little squiggle there, but there you are. So now I've ended up with something that was really, really tight up at the top, and it got looser and looser, more open, more spacious as I got to the bottom. And I've come up with a really nice, simple little exercise page just to sort of get the old hand and the wrist, kind of get everything kind of warmed up for a drawing session. It's fun, simple. You don't have to think about it too much. Just sort of being in the moment, kind of playing with being flexible with that pen tip. Have fun. Go for it.